360. Brilliant overtake by Bamba. How do you do? Oh, no, 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 no!
This is Laurens Vanthoor. As you can see, he's in quite the precarious position. First of all, he's upside down, which means his car is rather damaged to say the least. Now, one would easily come to the conclusion that his race is pretty much over given this catastrophic event, and you'd be absolutely correct. However, what you are looking at is the car that was crowned the winner of this race. A bit hard to believe given it's upside down and for the most part destroyed, but take my word for it, this car won the race. Allow me to explain why. First of all, let's rewind to the beginning of the weekend. The year is 2016. We know Laurens Vanthoor today as a Porsche ace. As a factory driver, he drives for both the Porsche Penske prototype teams in IMSA and WEC, as well as in the GT3s. But back in 2016, Vanthoor was an Audi factory driver, back when Audi did things that weren't pursuing Formula 1. By 2016, Vanthoor had won the FIA GT Series, the GT World Endurance Championship, and the 24 Hours of Nürburgring for the brand. His next challenge was to win the FIA GT World Cup at Macau. This would be no easy feat as the race would comprise of some of the best names in GT racing, names like Kevin Estre, Earl Bamber, and Nico Muller. However, no name was more feared at Macau than Vanthoor's fellow Audi driver, Edoardo Mortara. We know Mortara today as a Lamborghini factory driver, but his legacy at Macau is one that tends to go under the radar. Simply put, Mortara is to Macau what Graham Hill and Ayrton Senna were to Monaco, the kings of the streets. By 2016, Mortara had won the Macau Grand Prix, the race run with F3 cars, twice, and had won the Macau GT World Cup 3 times, and those 3 times were all consecutive. Now, Macau had 3 major sessions. First, a regular qualifying round where drivers do flying laps under a time frame to set a grid. That grid is for a 12-lap qualifying race the next day. The results of that qualifying race set the grid for the 18-lap main event. Anyways, qualifying day saw Mortara put a 10th and a half on Vanthoor's head as he won pole in his chase for Macau GT World Cup number 4. As a result, the 2 Audis would lead the field to green the next day for the 12-lap quali race. However, after literally just the first small kink down the main straight, the entire weekend changed dramatically.
And the Mercedes, what a brilliant start. The Audis go line of stern. Oh no! Right from the get-go, one of the Audis is out, spun right round at the first corner. And it's, would you believe it, Mr. Macau!
Mr. Macau lost it completely on his own, plummeting himself into last place, while Vanthoor now had the burden of holding back the Porsches of Bamber and Estre for the remainder of the race. Luckily, thanks to crashes that caused multiple safety cars, Vanthoor was able to keep his black and red Audi number 8 in front of the Porsches and secured pole by winning the quali race. Mortara would recover to P13, but given the fact that the main race was 18 laps long, on probably the hardest track in the entire world to make a pass at, his chances of victory were as good as gone. Anyways, time for the main race. From pole, Vanthoor held the lead from Bamber and Estre down the main straight and led lap 1. The safety car would come out on lap 2 due to a BMW getting buried in the barriers. This turned into a red flag by lap 4. Now, this seemingly simple accident unfortunately took nearly an hour to clear up. In my reading, I realized that one of the marshals actually got injured while cleaning up the wreckage, and they actually had to bring an ambulance onto the track. So much so that when the race was set to resume, it would be completed under a countdown clock instead of laps. The race went green with 15 minutes and 30 seconds left on the clock, and Vanthoor sought to bolt away from Bamber. However, Bamber placed his Porsche brilliantly in his slipstream and made an amazing pass around the outside to take the lead halfway down the main straight. So, being the racer he is, Vanthoor tucked behind Bamber to get some slipstream, and as they both entered the second kink in the straight, it happened.
An overtake by Bamber. How do you do? Oh no, 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 no!
The red flag came out almost immediately. As cleanup continued, it was evident the race wouldn't go back to green before the clock ran out, and race control confirmed that the race wouldn't be restarted, meaning that Laurens Vanthoor was the winner of the GT World Cup. But how? Well, cast your mind back to the 2023 Australian Grand Prix. If you remember correctly, on the final restart of the race, Sainz spun Alonso, but a red flag came out that lap for a crash that took place before the end of Sector 1, meaning the lap didn't count and the order was reset back to the lineup that it was when Alonso was still in P3. Now, due to the massive accident and the red flag, the FIA used the order of the race the lap prior, meaning Vanthoor, who was leading the race, was credited as the leader, hence the winner. Now, what made this a confusing decision is the fact that Vanthoor's mistake and subsequent crash is what caused the red flag in the first place. One would assume, seeing that he brought out the red flag, based on FIA rules he should be either penalized or disqualified. It was in the rules, but for some reason the stewards that day decided to just not enforce it. So yeah, Vanthoor was the winner. From there, he moved to Porsche and created a nice little legacy for himself, so it all turned out a-okay in the end. Pretty neat. Anyways, that's the story of how this absolutely cooked Audi won a race. Hopefully you enjoyed. Like the video if you actually liked the video, and as always, my name is Intern, I talk wheel, and thanks for watching.